I bid everyone a happy Thanksgiving, but of course it wasn't a happy Thanksgiving for the SJWs because they always find something to complain about, don't they? I mean, come on, let's be honest here. Do you remember what it was like when we didn't have social media and stupid people's stupid opinions were kept to themselves? Yeah, I kind of miss those days too. But apparently, now because we have social media, every idiot's opinion is important and worth listening to, and will probably garner three or four more idiots behind them to tell the first idiot that he had some kind of leg to stand on when he voiced his outrage and complaints. And the complaint was that Charlie Brown Thanksgiving is racist, possibly unintentionally racist, but racist because as you can see in the image before you, Franklin, the only black member of the cast of Peanuts, which is a name that the creator Charles Schultz he never liked, he never took to. The syndicate gave him that name, so I usually don't even I just call it the Charlie Brown Show, which is what he later called it. But Franklin is the only black member of the Peanuts crew, and he is sitting by himself on the other side of the table. Now, this should be by all standards ridiculous for anyone to think that Charles Schultz was racist or in some way was placating racists and racism by putting Franklin on the other side of the table. Charles Schultz was actually under attack back in the late 60s. I believe it was the late 60s when he created Franklin. And, you know, he was getting threats. He was getting threats over why did he put this black child in with the white kids in the Peanuts cartoon and comic strip. And to his credit, not only did he not back down, Charles Schultz, but he didn't even think he was doing anything spectacular. He didn't think he was doing anything noteworthy. He didn't think he was carrying a flag for any cause. He, when asked why did he put a black character in with the Peanuts gang, basically said, "Well, I wanted to create a black character, and I didn't see why I shouldn't. Then, well, I created Franklin." There wasn't any kind of political statement with Charles Schultz. He just did what he wanted to do, and what he wanted to do was basically reflect the world as normal, as you can normally see it, without making a big deal out of it, without showing off that he was some kind of progressive thinker or that he was some kind of maverick in the field. And he was one of my heroes, obviously, as a cartoonist myself, and he, quite frankly, is the type of person we need more in this day and age with all the social justice nonsense that's been going on. All right, I don't have the article in front of me because this is old news. This is definitely old news, but I can tell you probably from a practical standpoint why Franklin is on that side of the table. Now, of course, I never noticed this as being anything until I don't think many people did. It's people that are looking for something to complain about would find this as an issue and cause a great disturbance over it. But the reason why Franklin's probably on that side of the table is because Linus is the religious officiator of all the Peanuts cartoons. He always has the most profound things to say. He's at the head of the table, understandably. Marcy is at the other end of the table because she has to exit the table at the end of the scene. After the conversation's over, she has to leave the table, and it was easier to animate it that way. That's basically the same reason why Charlie Brown, Peppermint Patty, and Snoopy are all in a row there on the right side of the table, is because with the camera set up to show the action, they're the primary characters. Charlie Brown is getting berated by Peppermint Patty because, if you haven't seen the show, spoilers, but I think everybody's grown up with this. It's pretty safe to say at this point. Peppermint Patty's berating Charlie Brown because he made toast and popcorn for Thanksgiving dinner that she invited herself to, and Snoopy is there for sort of the comic relief. He's just like munching away until she sort of uh, brings him into the conversation and he sort of shrinks away. So that would leave Sally as the only other person that could probably be on the other side of the table. But it would be understandable that because Sally is in love with Linus and because Sally is Charlie Brown's sister, she would be seated in between the two of them. So again, this is really a big issue over nothing. As the SJWs tend to make these things, you can see there was a common sense answer to the situation. I feel bad that, I mean, I always noticed that Franklin got the broken chair. He got the broken chair. I think that's more down to the fact that, in all honesty, Franklin is sort of a glorified extra. He didn't have any dialogue in this entire scene, and so to be the one to just get sort of the gimmick chair gave him something to do in the scene. Otherwise, he would have been sitting there silent while the drama played out with the main protagonists. But it's still very important that he was, invited to this Thanksgiving dinner, and he was a part of this special, which is something, like I said, Charles Schultz didn't shy away from, whether it might have been seen as controversial or not. So there you go. Then again, I just had to give my 2 cents on this ridiculous issue. Ridiculous this, in fact, is that it would be brought up as a point of conversation to begin with.